Hello, I'm Jake Woodrow, civic journalist at Tulare Community Television. With me today are members of the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society. Joy Terrio, nurse and society member.
Correct.
Peggy Ouellette, longtime society member and palliative care advocate.
Yes.
And society member and Nova Scotia Health Palliative Care volunteer, John Langley.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So Peggy,
Yeah.
how long have you been with the Palliative Care Society? When did you start? How many years have you been spending with this group?
1981, when it started, Jack and I were already involved in palliative care. You know, with not the death end of it, but just visiting of people and helping them out and doing what we could for them. So that's where we started at the hospice. You know, and then people were complaining that their relatives was dying, but there was no one there to help them out with that. So we decided as a committee that we would try to form a palliative care society, and so that's where we started. And we continued with that, and as you heard here today, the results of that kind of work that was done to help people. And I'd just like to say that I just am the receiver of palliative care in Strait Richmond. My husband died there. Although we weren't at home and we didn't have a outside worker, it was a wonderful place for us to be. And I'll have to tell you a little story about my son. I was not jumping at the chance to put Jack in palliative care. So John called me one day and he said, "Mom, are you still involved in palliative care?" I said, "Yes." "Well, why are you so hesitant about having palliative care for Dad?" It's a good question. So I relented and said, and I put him in palliative care, and it was the best decision I ever made. It was wonderful, wonderful staff and wonderful people, and you could be in and out, and they made sure that I was comfortable with everything, and Michael and John. So I don't think we would have received that if it was just being, Jack dying in a bed in a hospital someplace, or even at home if we didn't have the resources. So to have those resources to wherever your loved one is a wonderful experience. You're not alone. And it's something you think about as time goes on, time passes, you think about those things. So yeah, I've been involved for a long time, and then having the personal experience with it was really good for me.
Now, you started, like you said, in the 80s, and now you see what it's become now. It must be fulfilling to you to see how far it's come and how it's developed.
It's incredible. It just does my heart good. And I think the other thing is that they've accommodated me and been able to attend several of their meetings. And being here today, for example, is a result of their caring of how I perceive palliative care yet in my life. So yeah, it's wonderful. It's been just, and I keep track of everything that's going on, and I'm involved with people who are involved in the society. So yeah, it's been really good. Yeah.
It's important to have your voice at the table. Everybody is not in the same situation as you are, so you can give a lot of insight into decisions and some of the points being made, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, because I've had people talk to me already, about the process of dying, and how did you feel about it, and what did they do, and the staff that were around were so accommodating. When you had, things you wanted to talk about, they were there, and they would answer your questions or help you out, or so that was really good. Whereas if you're home alone, or in a hospital by yourself, makes a big difference. This was comforting for you. I know we all die, but it's how you die and who you're with is so important. And I don't think people should forget that.
Now we were talking about this before we came on the air. You were at Strait Richmond.
Yes.
And now you're at St. Anne's Community Nursing Care Center, where you said you received excellent care in both facilities. No. But I guess that also gave you a good perspective in that you were a resident in both of those facilities.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. One of the things about St. Anne's, it doesn't have a palliative care palliative care program at the time. Well, it hasn't. They don't have a room for it. Where there's awfully double room people. There's two rooms, so you don't have the privacy. And then when they take the big activity room away, that's lost to us, the residents, for maybe a day or 2 or 3 or 4. We don't know how long it's going to be. So, but they do try to accommodate people, which is wonderful. They're at least that's a priority for them. And I think in the new building, whenever that will be, it will have a room for palliative care. But then we got to remember that the people are in a private room, so you could still have palliative care in that room because you're there. You can accommodate people that way. So it works both ways, but it's really helpful. There's no doubt about it.
So based on where it was and what it is today, what are your hopes for the future for the Palliative Care Society? What would you like to see happen?
I would like to see people more involved, more using the facility that's there available to them, or not only the facility, but the personnel that are around. Excellent personnel, you know. For example, you know, you're not only attending people that are dying, but then there's the physical, mental, spiritual, all those sides, and your access to all the people. You know where to go to get somebody who's really good in mental health, and you know where to go to get somebody that's good in something. So those things are available to you, and you don't. We don't have that now. But we do. It's going to be there, and it'll be there more and more as time goes on, and as more and more people use those activities.
You know, an area like this, you know, it's not a big area, not a big population, but you know, we have those facilities and we have, you know, a number of people here, and a group like this society is very important for this area.
Oh, absolutely. It's tremendous. It's really for a small place. In fact, when we first started, we were giving us an example of what you can do in a small community. You know, there's small community, but there are wonderful people out there, and they are more than willing to help out when a family's in difficulty. They're right there. This gives them a roadmap of how they can help out. So I think it's wonderful. You know.
And the type of thing they're doing, you know, it's not a subject that people like to talk about,
No, that's
but it
right.
is very important.
Exactly. And the other thing about is fundraising. When we're fundraising, that money goes right back into our program. It doesn't go off to Antigonish or to Sherbrooke or anyplace. It stays here, and it facilitates like getting people things they need. Maybe a hospital bed, maybe a wheelchair, maybe a feeding tube thing. It's there, so we can do those things for the families. So, you know.
We want to say thank you as a society to the community for all the support that we continuously get from them. It is a beautiful thing, the money comes in, and that it, like Peg said, it does stay here in the community, and it helps my family, it helps your family, and it helps the people that we don't know. So thank you to the people that do donate and continue.
There's a difference between in-hospital palliative care and palliative care at home. Perhaps you can talk about what the difference is.
Sure. At the hospital, you have easier access to doctors, nurses. The equipment is usually already there. At home, usually you don't have a hospital bed. You don't have access to feeding tubes, to special chairs so that you can have a shower and things like that. Even a comfortable chair that you can reposition in frequently. And those are things that the society either has access to or can find access to, so that the family's not paying for those things out of their pocket. Wheelchairs are expensive. Beds are expensive. Feeding tubes and feed is expensive. Medications are expensive. But the society is able, with in conjunction with the palliative care team at the hospital, they're able to resource a lot of those things, if not all of them, and makes it much easier load on the family. So you're not worrying about the financial aspect or even just the time you have to put in to access those pieces of equipment, the feeding tubes, medications. It all comes to you.
So I understand that Palliative Care Week is coming up soon, so maybe you can let us know what's going on locally.
Sure. Friday, May 2nd, Sunflower Day, we will hold public awareness where volunteers will pass out information on palliative care in the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society. The event will take place in 6 locations: Shoppers Drug Mart and the Superstore in Port Hawkesbury, the Farmer's Pantry in St. Peters, the Co-op in Louisdale, Gentilles, and the Co-op in Arishat. On Saturday, May 3rd, will be Education Day for Society members and volunteers. An all-day workshop will be held at the Evergreen Club in Port Hawkesbury. 24 people are registered, and the theme is a practical guide to understanding grief. The facilitator is Hilary Scott, a grief recovery specialist. This is an opportunity to assist us with understanding and dealing with our own grief experiences, as well as supporting others through their feelings of loss. On Monday, May the 5th, there will be a draw for a handmade quilt, which was donated by Rita O'Keefe. This draw will take place on 101.5 The Hawk at 9:30 in the morning. On Thursday, May the 8th, the Society will be sending 5 members to the annual Nova Scotia Hospice and Palliative Care Conference in Halifax. That will be our first week.
Why is it important to mark Palliative Care Week?
It is important to mark Palliative Care Week because it provides an opportunity to share with the public what is happening in the palliative care world. This is a time to get folks talking about a difficult topic: end of life, living with a life-limiting illness, death, and dying.
How much work and planning goes in before Palliative Care Week?
The work of the Society is done in committees, and the volunteers share in the tasks. They appreciate the events when they can engage people in these difficult conversations.
So on the subject of the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society itself, what is the function of the group?
The main function of the group is to provide support for the care, comfort, and peace of persons and families who are living and dying with life-threatening illnesses in the Strait Richmond catchment area. We work in collaboration with Nova Scotia Health and the palliative care team.
How often does the Palliative Care Society meet?
The Society meets monthly, except in July and August. We stop for the summer. During the winter months, January, February, and March, the meetings are, via Zoom, which is challenging for some of us who don't Zoom very well. The other months, we move the meetings around to different halls in the Strait Richmond area, including St. Anne's Centre and Putladek.
So how important to the community is the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society?
The Society is very important to the community. It provides resources to allow people to die at home. It sponsors the team, the palliative care team, to be able to go to conferences and keep up to date on what's new in the palliative care world. Everyone is going to die or will be helping with someone with their end of life care. The Society is able to support everyone through this time, and the palliative care team at the Strait Richmond Hospital puts us in touch with people who need help.
So other than Palliative Care Week, which is coming up soon, what other events or projects does the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society work on throughout the year?
The Society is always busy with something. We have a website to be maintained. We have the Facebook page that needs updating. There's grief booklets that have been prepared. They're available in English, French, and Gaelic at this time. And they're very handy to families just to have a little reference to look into. There are public awareness sessions. There's recently been 2 presentations done to for NSC students. There's 4 comfort teas a year. The comfort teas allow people to come and express grief, and not necessarily grief just from losing a person, grief of any type in their lives. There's 4 comfort teas this year. There's one in Johnstown on May 21st, in West Bay on June 18th, and Craignish and River Bourgeois will have events in the fall. These gatherings allow people to share experiences of loss in a safe and comfortable environment, and they get to enjoy a good old-fashioned cup of Cape Breton tea with some homemade treats. The Society has also been busy redecorating rooms at the Strait Richmond Hospital. 2 patient rooms and a large family lounge and kitchen and smaller palliative care family room have all been renovated, and they really look quite lovely, and they're very, very comforting. The Society also continues to work with the VON, Strait Richmond Community Health Board, Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health Group, and the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Foundation. The Strait Richmond Healthcare Foundation. So the group is always busy with something.
So what's on the horizon for the Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society?
The Strait Richmond Palliative Care Society recently updated its 3-year strategic plan. We're hoping to meet with the multicultural community to learn more about the diverse needs. Of course, as time goes on, we have more and more ethnicities moving into the area, and we want to be able to support each of those. We are waiting. There's updated modules coming about the advanced care planning from Nova Scotia Hospice Palliative Care Association. Several members are going to be trained as facilitators for the ACP information sessions. There's a new government program coming down to help people with end-of-life care planning.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy days, busy schedules, and coming down here to Ayrshire to our studio, speaking with our viewers and about what is a very important topic, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Don't have to worry about my schedule.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.